Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Overcome by My Testimony. I'm a survivor. It is May. May is Rheumatoid Arthritis Awareness Month. And my dear sister friend over here, Izoria, she is living with rheumatoid arthritis, and we're going to talk to her about her journey living with the condition. So thank you, Izzy, for doing this and sitting down with me and talking. I know you were nervous about doing this, but I'm glad you agreed to do it.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Rashon, for just being interested in my story and then encouraging me to tell it. Hopefully by me sharing my story, it will help someone else. So only reason to share it, because otherwise it's my business, none of y'all business.
And that is the sole purpose of this show, is to help somebody, is to help who's talking, help somebody that's watching. Whatever your story is, as y'all know, who's been a lifetime, or not a lifetime, a frequent viewer of Life in the Daylight Studios, you know my journey. You know I live with spina bifida, and I wrote a book. If you don't, and if you're new, thank you for tuning in. I wrote a book, and somebody that lost their dog was encouraged, and it helped them get over that grief of losing their dog. When I had spina bifida, it has nothing to do with the dog. So you never know how your story, sharing your story, will help somebody. So that is the purpose of this show, and that's what I love to hear, stories like this. And if you're watching this and you hear something that touches you from hearing Izoria's story, let us know in the comments. So we're going to get into the first question. This is going to be real raw and organic, just two sister friends just talking. So Izoria, in your own words, what is rheumatoid arthritis? If you can give us the medical definition, go ahead. But if not,
medical definition, listen, they don't know what it is. Let's just be real about it. They don't know what it is. And that's a big part of the issue, right? When I was diagnosed, I was like, well, what's happening? What's happening to me? What is going on? But essentially, rheumatoid arthritis is a form of arthritis that is considered an autoimmune condition, which means that it's your body attacking its healthy cells because it's seeing it as like a foreign invader or as a sick cell when it's not. So mainly it happens like in the joints, like, the knees. That's why I see, people with knee pain and, stiffness and stuff like that. So I guess that kind of sums up my definition. It wasn't as concise as maybe a dictionary definition would be. But, it's an arthritic condition that is, considered to be autoimmune, and, the major symptoms are pain and inflammation in the body, along with swelling and stiffness. Kind of wears away at the cartilage in the joints, and that's where it keeps your joints kind of mobile. And, you end up with bone on bone, just kind of grinding.
When did you realize or recognize or feel that something was going on in your body that was not normal?
Girl, it was the summer of 2005. No, seriously, it was the summer of 2005, and I was 14, summer after 8th grade. I was, preparing myself for high school and whatnot, and I was home one day, laying in my mom's bed. She was at work, I think. And I had this excruciating pain in my right shoulder. I felt like I was dying, like they say kids are dramatic, but it was an indescribable pain. I had never experienced anything like it before.
And it just came from out of nowhere?
Out the clear blue sky. Like, I was asleep, I woke up, and I'm just like, oh, my arm, like, what's going on? I'm trying to lift it up, can't lift it up. Like, you know what happened? So, my brother came rubbing me down with some icy hot and stuff like that. I was good to go. Had a nice little day. Everything was fine. And then it happened again. And that time the pain didn't go away. Like it wasn't as easy as rubbing it down with some icy hot, you know? So went to a series of doctors, did a bunch of tests, felt like someone's guinea pig. And then they diagnosed me with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
You didn't have nothing leading up, like before you had that excruciating pain in your arm that first time, like it really hit you. There was nothing like leading up to it.
Nothing. Not a sign, not a symptom, nothing that I could readily recognize, you know? Yeah, it was just all of a sudden.
So when you got that diagnosis, what was your thought? What went through your mind at 14?
Like, what is that? What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my life? Like, am I going to be able to have the life that I've dreamed for myself? You know, am I going to have a life that society deems to be subpar, right? Because I won't be able to function how other people can function. You know, like all those things like came into my mind. Like, what is this going to look like?
What did they tell you were going to be your limitations?
They, like I told you, they don't know. They don't know. That's why at some point they changed the diagnosis from rheumatoid arthritis or juvenile rheumatoid arthritis to juvenile idiopathic arthritis.
What's the difference?
Idiopathic means we don't know where it came from. We can't really explain this to you in layman's terms. But you can look it up on the internet and see what the Google gods say. And, you know, or look in a medical dictionary and see what they say. But essentially it means that they don't know the origin or, you know, what's the cause of the condition. So that tells me that if you don't know the origin of it, how could you know how to defeat it? They don't. And that's the thing about it. They tell you they don't. So what they told me is that it'll get progressively worse, you know, and they can manage the symptoms. They couldn't reverse any damage that had already been done.
It started in your arm. How long before it showed up in another part of your body?
Oh, girl, I don't even know. Let me see. I think in high school, it was in my hands and my wrists. So I don't know, a couple of years. I was only in high school for 3 years, and that was only 8th grade, the summer after 8th grade.
Did your movements change? And if they did your peers notice, and did they say anything?
Movements? What do you mean when you say movements?
Like your gait or
My gait did change, but not initially. Because it didn't affect my legs initially. Initially, it was my arm. I played tennis in high school, right? I was captain of the tennis team. Ironically, I was nowhere near the best member on the team. You know, I had a good team though. We made it to the championship the year I graduated, which was really cool because it was actually on my birthday. So that was my 17th birthday. So yeah, in tennis, because I'm right-handed and my right shoulder was affected, I couldn't really serve properly. So, they would ask me like, why am I using my left hand? I just tell them, oh, that's my power arm. Because I could hit it better with that arm, being that the right arm was hurting me.
Why did you feel that you had to not tell the whole truth?
Why did I not want to tell people my diagnosis?
Well, not your diagnosis. Well, I guess.
So what
yeah.
do you mean when you say the whole truth? Like, what is it that you think they deserve to know?
I don't know.
Because in my opinion, it's my business. I don't have to tell them anything. For me, it was a way, I guess, to kind of protect myself. People who are disabled or
So I guess I asked that.
different in different kind of ways, like they're oftentimes picked on, right?
Yeah.
They're mistreated just because they're different. They're already dealing with something. You know, they don't need extra crap.
Do you think?
And so for me, it didn't make sense to expose that to people who are not going to help me.
Do you think I could, because me, as a person that has a disability and experienced that in in elementary school, do you think you would still experience some of that being in high school with older kids? You don't think they
High school kids are mean. Hell yeah. I had to face stuff in high school anyway. I don't know why, like, I got picked on by someone. They thought they was going to fight me. I was ready to get it popping. You understand? Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to bully me. No matter what my situation is, even if they could beat me, I'm fighting back. It's like, I'm not going to back down because other people think I'm less than. I don't think I'm less than. Actually, I think that I'm stronger than because I'm able to overcome this or, you know, deal with the trials of that come with such a condition like rheumatoid arthritis and still excel in school. You know what I mean? Travel, do all the things that I like to do, take good care of myself for the most part. You know, life has had its ups and downs, but I've accomplished a lot, even with this condition. So, no, I don't feel less than.
I guess going back to you saying that you were protecting yourself from what were you protecting yourself from not telling them or saying
I just didn't want to have the conversation for the most part. Like in that time, it was just like, I don't even want to acknowledge that this thing exists because why? Why should it exist? It shouldn't exist. So let's just pretend it doesn't exist. Right. And so by having those conversations and revealing to people what the diagnosis was and stuff like that, that's acknowledging its presence and existence, which I just didn't want to do at that point in my life. You know, I'm like, you know, if you ignore it, it'll go away. Right. No, that's not how this thing called life works. But, you know, I was naive to that. I was a child.
Who was with you when you found out your diagnosis?
My mom.
Okay. And how did she take it and what was her thought process and what was her like reaction to, or do you know it? Do you know what her reaction was or remember?
I don't really know. You would probably have to ask her that question. You know, she did go with me to a lot of the appointments in the beginning. And then after a while, it was just like, you know, go on, little birdie, and fly. And so I just had to go by myself. So
going by yourself to those appointments, how did that make you feel? And were you scared, or what was your thought process and your emotional process during that time?
So scared, yeah. A little bit. You know, it was strange. It's like, what is happening? What's going on? You know, at a point I would get into a flow with things, you know, just by, you know, having the same process, going to the doctor. I was getting injections and stuff or, you know, what have you. It was just a lot of changes. A lot of changes because, you know, I tried a lot of different drugs and just going from one place to another, like living in different cities and such, getting care in different places with different people. You have different experiences.
What was their first course of action with care and trying to maintain it and manage it?
Drugs.
What kind of drugs?
The first drugs, probably steroids, prednisone, methotrexate, coupled with folic acid.
Wow.
That was the combo right there. And then, what was the first injection I had? Enbrel, the pen. I used to have to stab myself with the pens. It would like make my legs swollen and red and hot and itchy. It was just not fun. I'm like, summertime, I want to go to the pool, like, even show my thighs. Because I was taking those every week. And at the beginning, like, I was going, and my doctor, he was doing it. Shout out to Dr. Mo Allen if he's still alive, man. He made me comfortable with him, like, he took his time explaining things to me, showing me how to do it myself, like how to care for myself, how to do the injections and such on my own. Like, even when I went from the pill form of methotrexate to the liquid form, and I had to fill up the syringe, I felt like a crackhead or something. I don't know. Like, I'm shooting up. I got to fill up the syringe and, stick myself with it. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey. But I've taken so many other drugs since then, NSAIDs, which stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. DMARDs, which stands for disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. Biologics, which essentially means it's some derivative of a living being. Could be human or another animal, But I've taken all kinds of drugs, and they still don't work. The best drug is the herbal medicine.
Really?
Yes. Herbal medicine, I'm telling you. That's why I'm trying to, get more into nature's healing, because I do believe that the healing is in the earth and in the body, mind, spirit connection. I listened to this, I don't know if it was a podcast or just a regular YouTube video about this guy who's actually a neuroscientist, right? And, a neurosurgeon. And he would always suggest surgery to his patients, right? Surgery. Yeah, you need surgery. But when he got into a crazy accident, and he didn't want surgery, but he believed that he could make his body function again, by the power of the mind. And he was able to do it. Very interesting story. We can't remember his name right now, but we'll figure it out later. Maybe you can inform the people.
Yeah. If I can say, if you don't mind me saying, when when I met you, you were a little thicker.
Oh yeah.
So what made you change what made you say, Izzy, you need to get this thickness off of you and be still thick, but be a healthy thick?
First of all, let's put in perspective, right? Before I met you, I was a little slimmer. I was like this size, high school, 6'8" right? And, when I got to college, I was on steroids. That's how I started blowing up.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. The freshman 15 was the freshman 30 for me.
And it wasn't food.
It was food coupled with the drugs, right? So, prednisone, which is a steroid, it makes you gain weight. Like, that's a side effect. And college, first year of college, made you gain weight. Apparently, that's a side effect. So it was both of them at the same time that made me gain weight. But I lost that weight easily, just walking up the hill. If anything, I was walking up and down them hills every day. So
you had to go far on the other side of campus.
Hello. And then even when I moved off campus, I was all the way up 4th Street, so I had to walk down the hill and then walk back up here. I would walk to school, even when I moved up 7th. Yeah. But anyways, so what were we talking about?
your change in body.
Oh yeah, so I came down, but then I had gained a lot of weight again, and it was also lifestyle in there because I was just a junk food junkie girl, eating all kind of sugar. A shame. I fight it to this day, but I'm doing way better, honey. One day, I realized, I was kind of big. I think I was like a size 16, and them pants was getting real tight on me. I was like, yo, Izoria.
That's big mama sizes.
Right? What is happening, sis? And I stepped on a scale. That thing said 228. I was like, nah, son, we got to do something about this. And I'm not buying no bigger clothes. 16? I wasn't going to no 18. What? And I knew, my mom and my aunt, they're larger women. I don't want to be their size. I just was like, no, not me. And then I'm like, I haven't even had children yet, right? And children, you get that baby weight. Some people have a hard time fighting that. And I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm doing something about this. Boom. So I was living in Canada at the time, and I heard something on the radio about a weight loss challenge thing that the government was actually sponsoring to help you lose weight because, they want people to be healthy, And if you meet your goal, they cover all the certain expenses that it took for you to lose the weight. I went and signed up for that. Girl, and then I was like, whether or not I make it to that point, I got to get this weight off of me. So what am I going to do? What's my plan? I got me a personal trainer at the gym, signed up for a gym membership, even though I had a gym in my building where I was living. But
you needed that motivation.
I needed the motivation because I wasn't going. I wasn't even going to my gym that I had the membership for outside of my personal training appointment. But then, I started looking into different foods and stuff like that. And I found this health food store called Goodness Me. And girl, it changed my whole life. So I signed up for a class that they were hosting, a 10-week course all about the power of food. The book is called Discover the Power by Janet Jacks. Great read. Pick it up if you're interested in losing some pounds or just learning more about how to eat to live, and live well. So that class, it was called Life Watchers. And it was just so good. It really changed my life to be able to have, other people that were also on a journey to meet with every week for one, and then to go in there, I had to read my text beforehand. And then I would go in there, do the class. The teacher, she would always have some kind of food for us to try, and then if we like it, we could do the recipe, get the recipe and try it at home. Plus, we're in the grocery store, right? So I would literally eat before, class, and then go to class. At the end of class, I would write me a little list if there's anything I wanted to prepare that week and buy the groceries. Right? And
they were having it at the health food store.
Yes, they had a classroom inside the health food store where they did different kinds of classes. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the classes that they hosted there. So girl, it was so good because even after I finished the class, I kind of kept up because it would have me, I would be at home in the kitchen. I would have my TV on YouTube with some recipes going. I was like, I'm going to try that, and I would put it together and it would be so good. And I would try the recipes out of the book, for the class. And I just really learned to like healthy foods. Like I was trying things that either I had not had before or I had before and I didn't like it. It was really the way it was prepared, right? So I prepared it differently and I'm like, oh, this is bussin'. Like I like beets now. I like Brussels sprouts now. And in the past, I didn't like those things, but they weren't prepared to appeal to me, you know? So there's that. And then like, you know, just not keeping certain things in the house that are my vices, right? Like leave the sugar at the door. If you're going to have some outside, have it outside and leave it outside. Right? That way it prevents you from, you know, those late night cravings. If you don't have it in the house, are you going out to go get a soda? Are you going out to go get them Oreos? Probably not.
No, because
It's less likely.
The stores are not 24 hours anymore.
And then there's that, right? If there's no 24-hour spot, where you going at 3 o'clock in the morning for some Oreos? The gas station, they probably sell. As cliche as it is, consistency really is key, you know. I just stayed the course. And even though I might have wavered to the left or to the right, you know, it's not a straight journey, right? It's a little windy sometimes. So like,
As life is.
Right. So, you know, I have had, you know, snacks and stuff or things that I probably wouldn't say is the best for me, like the best choice of food or fuel for my body. But it tastes good, so I ate it kind of thing. Or I thought it would taste good, so I ate it. Or it was available, so I ate it. So yeah, I mean, hunger and taste buds. But essentially, I came all the way down to like 135. And then I started feeling like I was a little too skinny. And I was like, sis, it's time to eat that cornbread and collard greens. You know, and like now I'm on another leg of the journey where, you know, I'm trying to be more active, more fit. They say a body in motion stays in motion. The more active you are, the more active you'll be. You know, the more you stretch, the more you'll be flexible, stuff like that. So I'm working on those things. And, you know, stay tuned for the next version of this body.
So I'm going to let them get into a sneak peek into some girl talk. With your condition, how has dating been?
I've had my condition since I was 14. So like, I don't know. I think, you know, my first boyfriend, he definitely knew about it. It was never like a thing for us. There was one boyfriend. He had a conversation, he said, with his mom. And I should have probably made him elaborate on it, which I didn't at the time. Because, again, like, it wasn't something I really liked talking about or what have you. But she told him something like, oh, be careful with her because, you know, her condition, I guess she thought I was fragile. Like, I'm not fragile. But,
well, people's ignorance, they don't know. When they hear arthritis, they probably think,
like I'm not a porcelain doll. You know, I be in pain or whatever, but I'm not a porcelain doll. You know, and I think that I probably don't speak on it as much as I probably should with them. But it's like, how do you have this conversation? I don't know. It's a strange thing to talk about.
When do you feel that it's time to have that conversation?
I don't know. It's like when they ask, when they say something.
What would prompt them to ask?
I mean, well, at this point in time, you know, my gate is off. So you can see, like, you know, it's something like that. Listen, I'm rocking out with the handicap tags because, yes, I will get my princess parking. And I say princess parking because you can pull up right to the front with the handicap tags. Listen, I ain't parking at the back of the parking lot when I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? So those are some of the signs or what have you. Yeah, so that's just what it is. I've had guys, you know, tell me, "Oh, I'll make you meal plans and everything, and you know, we'll get through this." I've had guys tell me, "Oh, I don't think we can deal with the rough times together." You know, it's just like, you know, it's going to take a special kind of guy to deal with me, like my personality and, everything. And then also this, which I guess this is my baggage. This is what it comes with, my suitcase,
Yeah.
And if you can't carry my bags, then you can't carry me, and it's fine. Right. But I want a man who can lead me, whose path, I am glad to follow, right? People talk about women and submitting to men and stuff like that. Yeah, like the Bible says that God created us as equal, right? But then because of Eve's decisions, right? We're under the rule of men. Mm-hmm. We are. But not just any old man can lead me. Not just any old man. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just going to take a special kind of guy, and I know he's out there, and I'll be patient enough with the Lord to wait for him to, connect with me and for us to connect with each other. And of course, like I'm not no slouch, okay? I'm a brilliant person in my own right, and this condition does not make me less than. Like I said before, if anything, it makes me more than, because I overcome this and accomplish other things as well. Like if they get to know me, like for me and who I am, of course they'll fall in love. No, on a serious note though, like, it's not always easy, because sometimes it's intimidating. It's like, what will he say when we get to that point of that discussion? Or do I even want to go that far? Do I say it right in the beginning?
So when,
like I had,
on average, when has it come up, and has it always been because of they see the way you may reach or you may walk, or or do you bring it up? Or is it always the prompting of the guy?
Well, I haven't brought it up, or first of all, I don't even date that much. Let's put that out there, because yeah. But anyways, I know one time I brought my walking stick to the date, so that was like a talking point. Like, here it is. What's up? And the guy, it didn't go well. It didn't go over well. He tried to call me, but he called me disabled. I was like, okay. Or he said something like that. I don't know. But, it was funny because he still wanted to go someplace else with me, but no, that was just a strange date anyways. It was a strange date. And I was just like, no, like, I don't want to talk to you no more, kind of thing. Even though he still kind of wanted to talk to me. I'm just like, no. And I guess maybe he figured out like more about me, and he was like, oh, maybe she's actually, a cool person or whatever. But at that point, it was too late.
What have you done that either the doctor said you wouldn't do or be able to do, or you thought yourself wouldn't be able to do, but you did it?
There was a couple of things. Like, I think at one point when the condition started like attacking my knees, I was like, damn, am I going to be able to drive? Like, will my legs work? And even like with my hands and stuff. I was like, well, will it work? But I'm able to drive. I've been driving for a long time, been driving fine. I don't get into car accidents, you know what I'm saying? I'm a vehicleist out here on these streets. But that was one thing when I was a teenager that was a question mark in my mind. And then I had one rheumatologist girl. She told me that I shouldn't go to London, that it would be so bad for me because it rains there all the time, and bop, 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 and hippity hoopla. Like, I understand that there is a correlation between the raininess in the environment, the dampness in the environment, and the pain in the body of someone who deals with arthritis, any kind of arthritis. right? You know, osteoarthritis or other types of things, and any type of inflammatory condition. If you ever had a slip and fall and your back hurt, your hip hurt when it rained, yeah, it's the same deal. I prayed about it, man, because I wanted to go. I wanted to go abroad, and that was my thing. You know, I prayed about it, and I had this peace that surpassed all understanding. And I went. Had the time of my life. Lived in London for a year, and it wasn't the horrible thing that she said it would be. Now, yes, I had my challenges, right? Because when I went over there, you know, obviously my doctors back here, they wasn't shipping me no drugs. Um, and I wasn't flying back and forth to get them or what have you. I guess I could have figured something out, but I didn't think to do that. I had medical care in the UK, which they have a truly universal healthcare system, which was a great benefit to me, being a student there at that time, which it was free for me. I got to be on their healthcare system. And I'm glad that I followed my faith. And I had that experience because it's unmatched, and no one can take that away from me.
What else have you done that you thought you wouldn't be able to do? Did you go on a hike somewhere?
I didn't think I wouldn't be able to do it. I knew it was going to be hard though. I didn't know if I was going to be able to finish it. But you know what? Sometimes I do stuff.
And when I say that,
I don't think about.
She did it in my home state. That's why I brought it up.
Like, I knew my body was going to have a hard time, right? But I was like, man, I'm going to do it anyway. You know, because sometimes you have to challenge yourself. So I went with 2 Army people. They weren't going to be able to get me back to the hotel. I adopted them as my temporary guardians while abroad, well, off the mainland. So we went to the hike. It was beautiful, man. Listen, but it was hard. Like the first of all, I probably should have decided not to go when the lady I befriended at the resort where I was staying decided that she didn't want to go because she said it was too difficult, and I was like, man, it don't look that difficult. I want to go to the waterfall. I just wanted to go to the waterfall. So I decided I was gonna go. I'm going. I just booked it. And I was like, well, we locked in now. And I'm glad that I made that decision. It was a really challenging hike, like uneven terrain. But the guide, he was holding my hand, making sure when we crossed the river, I didn't slip and fall anything. Anytime, like, you know, we had to cross over like down logs or any type of like challenging terrain, he would help me, and I was so grateful. And we made it to the waterfall, and I got to swim in the waterfall with the fish, and it was so beautiful.
It's military service persons month too, so shout out to the military and the best branch, the Army. My father was in the Army, so that's why I have them out.
Shout out to the spirit of aloha.
Yes!
But girl, when I got back to that room, let me tell you, my body was done. Body was done aching. I couldn't move. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't even go downstairs to get food from the restaurant. But thank God I had food left over in my refrigerator. All I could do was take a shower and lay down. Take a shower and lay down for a bit before I got up to eat and get back in that bed. But I am so grateful that I did it. Like, I really challenged myself with that one. People would call me crazy, but oh well.
No, sometimes you gotta push yourself to know what you can do.
Yeah.
When you think you can't do it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like when I'm away, I have a little bit more energy, a little more pep in my step, a little more strength, a little more vibrant.
Because you don't have the strains of your real world, your real life weighing you down. I felt like that too ironically, when I was in Hawaii, I was going through stuff here on the mainland, but I forgot all about it when I was over there. And just the night, the night before I came back, I was like, oh man, I have to go back. And I cried. So even me going to Vegas, even though it's still on the mainland, I went there by myself, and it's nothing like going somewhere, especially for the first time by yourself.
That was me in Hawaii, and I had to get on that little plane to go to the little island. Oh my goodness. I was like, there's only 6 of us on this plane. What if it falls? But God is good.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, that you want to mention that my questions didn't prompt you to reveal or to say? Is there any advice you want to give? Anything that's on your heart to say?
I would just say that I'm still on a journey. You know, I haven't reached the end yet. I do believe that there's a blessing in the storm, and that a healing will manifest itself in the natural. That has already happened in the supernatural. And right now, I'm just on a journey of wellness. You know, like trying to make sure I move more, I'm more active, I'm more cognizant of like the food and things that I'm putting into my body, on my body, you know, and my advice to anyone that's dealing with a difficult situation is take your time, be easy with yourself, and have faith that even if you can't do it, you serve a God that can. I hope you serve a God that can. Because I do. And that's what allows me to keep going is my faith. Faith as small as a mustard seed could take you so far. So far. And that's what's gotten me through every trial, every tribulation, when I have been on the verge of giving up. It's only been God to pull me through. When nobody is calling to check for me, God's there. He's always going to be there. So that's my advice. If you have faith, lean on it. If you don't have faith, find some.
Izzy, thank you.
You
So you didn't even need them tissues that I brought you. I brought them just
Girl, I'm a G. That's why I'm a real G. Real gangsters don't
you had me crying on the internet. No, she didn't even cry. She didn't even cry. So I thank you for being brave enough to do this. My prayer is that somebody will see this and not be ashamed of whatever they're going through. And if they have RA, that they will say and feel the strength that you exude and that you show. Because, I mean, yes, there are probably levels, like there's levels to spina bifida, there's levels to RA. I'm pretty sure of it. But hopefully they will see you watch this and see that, oh, she can do it. I can do it too. I can go take a hike in Hawaii. I can get on the plane and go to Hawaii and do a hike. I may be tired after, but I can do it.
Yes,
So I thank you for doing this. And
thank you.
I'm glad you got over your fear of doing it. And hopefully this won't
fear ain't nothing but fake evidence appearing real, girl.
And hopefully this won't be the last time you share your story.
Thank you, sis.
You're welcome.